Good morning. Denise Dryden here from Whitefish, Montana on Facebook Live, and I do these weekly video blogs so that I don't have to write. I noticed that writing brings a lot of stress up within me, so it's easier to do this of all things, believe it or not. So I'm in Whitefish on the Whitefish River. My office is right up over here, and there's this nice little path that has a bench and a dock, and it's magnificent to come down here when I have some big stuff to talk about, or some big stuff to think about, or some big stuff to feel. I want to talk to you about how to set a boundary with a sensitive. And knowing what a sensitive is going to be a really good place, right, to start. So I've been studying The Highly Sensitive Person by Dr. Elaine Aron. And hey Kelly, I'm so glad you joined me. So as a highly sensitive person per Dr. Elaine Aron, it means that there's about 20% of our population that has a finely tuned, really observant nervous system, right? And what I wanted to say was that it's really good at subtle nuances, picking up subtle nuances and putting pieces together from a lot of different places. It's a biological trait, and it's genetic. And if you're approaching this presentation today as a parent, or as a boss, or as a partner, then keep in mind that some of these references might be towards a child or towards a partner, but you can crisscross them and take them in any direction. So basically, this is my take on it: is an HSP, a highly sensitive person, is a savant. They're a mentor, they're a teacher, they're a therapist, a counselor, a guide, an artist. They're the people who access information intuitively or instinctively and creatively and with imagination, and they think outside the box. They require a much different approach to life than what we're used to doing for children, for employees, for partners. And so what I want to talk about today is what happens when you're in a relationship, whether it's a parent-child, a boss, colleague, whatever, and you have to set a boundary. And you know that this is an issue because you're dealing with a sensitive human being. So I want you to keep in mind, first and foremost, that you have to be an alchemist. And an alchemist means that you're blending the obvious with the subtle differences, and you're bringing in curiosity, and you're bringing in imagination, and you're bringing in communication. So what you're doing is you're taking all of these parts of you that you don't really know very much about, or you aren't used to accessing, and you have to use all of them at once when you are interacting with the sensitive. So sensitives can be really complex because they have psychological and spiritual landscapes that are really different than what we're used to in our culture. Probably not in the ancient times, but in the last at least 1,000 to 2,000 years, sensitives have not been part of the culture of welcoming and following. And I think that they have this gift that they bring to the world, and we need to understand that. So this psychological and spiritual landscape that a sensitive has is that they're used to being in a non-sensitive world. They're used to having people completely unaware to how they feel, or what they're able to sense through their emotions, or what they're able to see or gather from their 17, 18 different points of reference that are going on all the time within their nervous system. So they have a lot of experiences of being angry and hurt and sad and afraid, from schools, from parenting situations, from just about any kind of institution that you can think of that is non-aware of the role of the sensitive. Now you keep in mind that they have this negative, or this place that doesn't always work for them. And then on the other side, what we have is they have this clarity about what's going on. They have an inner truth. They know what resonates with them. They know what matters. And they know what's possible outside the boxes. So that's why I say we have to be an alchemist, because we have to navigate between some of the historical hurts and fears and some of the gifts, and we have to know what to do with those. So when a sensitive it comes up with a boundary, they can be complacent, they can go to approval seeking, they can go to temper tantrums, they can go to blaming, they can go to self-ownership, and completely implode. They will compromise themselves, but they will also be empowered, and they're creative, and they're insightful. So how do we take advantage of the greatest skills of the sensitive when we have to navigate through some tough stuff? So when you're raising a sensitive child, remember that it's genetic. So one or both of you is also a sensitive. So we have to give them experiences with boundaries. We have to start to navigate between and teach them, this is where you are and this is where the world is. And if the world is saying you can't do that, what does that really mean? What does that mean when they say, no, you have to go to bed exactly at 9 o'clock? And you go, what if I'm not tired? And well, then what would you do in order to start to go into a calm, peaceful place? And maybe you don't fall asleep right away, but the bottom line is, in the house, it needs to be quiet at 9 o'clock and you need to be in your bedroom. Sort of like understanding why there are rules and structures out there and then helping them navigate. So, you have to practice boundaries, you have to problem solve, explore all the sides of them, be patient. You have to teach the finesse of communicating. You have to validate and empower. This is what you may see. And the questions you have make sense to me. So I have to be really patient, and I have to help you problem solve through those. And you have to give a sensitive permission to react, to be rebellious, to express themselves, because more than anything, they need to become really familiar with their own landscape. Like, this is me. This is me. I'm different, and this is what I know about myself, and this is what I don't know about myself yet. So we have to give them a lot of experiences of being able to figure that out, right? Does that make sense? So, it also means that you have to be able to understand your own inner landscape if you're going to take on parenting, leading, or loving a sensitive. So one of the tools that Alan Seal teaches in his Transformational Presence, which is one of my favorite ones, is the 3 intelligences, which is, what does your head say? This is the intelligence we're used to using all the time. So you can even put your hand on your head and you can, just close your eyes and go like, wow, look at all these thoughts, look at all these opinions, look at all these perspectives that I have in my head. And then drop your hand down, you can't see it, but down to your belly, right below your belly button, or right in that area where your gut instincts are. And then just close your eyes and check in and say, what does my gut have to say about this? And then listen to it. Your gut has a lot of information, and it's a huge intelligence system, because it'll tighten, it'll send chills up your back, it'll tell you when you're on track and when you're off track. And then the 3rd intelligence is your heart. Put your hand right on your chest plate and just breathe into it and say, what do I know from this place? And when you use these 3 intelligences, when you're working with a sensitive, it brings you into your own self-presence, which is probably the most important key in setting a boundary with a sensitive. You also are being invited always, when interacting with a sensitive, to use your own imagination and creativity, because that's the arena that you can meet them in. Remember, if it's genetic, you've got that. You just have to remember to keep practicing it. And with this Leo new moon today, my friend Deborah O'Connor is all about use your imagination and your creativity to get through these next 30 days. If you are leading, use it through teaching and guiding. Access that inner self and think, what is it that I'm actually asking them to do and what I need them to do? And is that in line with who I am? And, if you're in a partnering situation, become really curious. I wonder what they see. I wonder what they think. And remember, there's no room for hard lines, for bullying, for anger, for aggression, or punishing, because all that does is take the sensitive and shatter their world and blow it apart. And then you have a much bigger problem on your hands. So, to be very specific, how do you set a boundary with a sensitive, right? So the first question is, what is this about? Get curious. So if, we're going to go back to that bedtime, or if we're going to go back to, no, I don't want to do something tonight, say, tell me a little bit more about that. You know, it's where we get curious and we explore and we ask them questions that are really open, like, I really want to know what that means for you and how I can understand it, so let me ask you some more questions, right? And try to see what they see. So the second part, and as you're listening, as you are paying attention, is to start getting present in your own body, right? Start listening and breathing and feeling it and knowing that you're open, you're listening, you're checking in with yourself, and then when you're present, only when you're present, interpret what you need. Well, I was thinking that I need you to go to bed at 9 o'clock because that's when I start to relax and have my own quiet time, because sometimes during, in the day with kids and everything that goes on, I get a little tired. And so you can't say that if you're not in a place of complete presence, right? Because remember, sensitives are going to pick up on our tone of voice. They're going to pick up on our body language. They're going to pick up on a lot more things than we even give them credit for. So we have to get really present in our body. And then I'm trying to stay out of the sun here. I can see it on the camera. So every response and dialogue is unique, and it's related to that experience. So it isn't like every single time this is what we have to do, because that doesn't work. Because a sensitive is gathering information and saying, oh, this is a really different scenario. And there's, there might be northern lights tonight. There might be, I took a nap today and I can't sleep. And there's all sorts of pieces that we don't always understand. So we have to remember that this is an individual situation and that we have to respond individually to the environment and to what we know. And then to hold on to our own non-negotiables. Like I said earlier, I need you to go to bed at 9 or go to your room and be quiet, because I need my own space. And that's important to me. And yes, you may not agree to go to sleep if you go to bed. However, you still need to be in your room. Or I know in a partner situation, you may not want to go out to eat. So what I'm going to say is, why don't you just have a great, nice, quiet evening that you need, and I'm going to call a friend and go do what I want to do, because I've been working for 4 days straight and I really want to be out and people, and I want to hear some music, and it's important for me. And so that then we're actually using that presence to say what we need as well. And I think that's really important in all scenarios. And I have to start winding this up. Honor our awareness that overwhelm can happen. Even when talking about our emotions or what we want, or responding to what we say we need, can trigger into overwhelm, because it means that all of these systems that have been sort of lining up and getting into place get shaken up and shattered. And then we have to bring it back into perspective. And so that overwhelm can happen pretty easily. And speak to the overwhelm. So if you see overwhelm, talk to it. So if I see you becoming overwhelmed, what is it that you need from me right now? Or what is it that you can do for yourself when you feel overwhelmed? On a scale of 1 to 3, is this small, medium, or large, this reaction that you're having, right? Keep managing, becoming curious, using your creativity and your imagination. And I'm going to leave you with a quote from Elaine Aron, who wrote The Highly Sensitive Person. It is primary parenting that decides whether the expression of sensitivity can be an advantage or a source of anxiety. And I think that that's the invitation I would leave you with, is that every time that you have an opportunity to interact with someone who's a highly sensitive person, you can either be the source of their anxiety and problems, or you can be the solution and a tool that can help them navigate into who they are. So this is what I do. My name is Denise Dryden. I'm a coach. I work with those who parent and those who are learning how to parent and those who are growing up and stepping away from parenting or parents. You can find me on DeniseDrydenCoaching.com, and have a lovely Sunday, have a lovely week, and enjoy the new moon tonight. Take care. Bye-bye.